Hi guys, I'm Shmee, hello and welcome back to the channel where you join me back here with the SLS Black Series in the Stuttgart region in Germany, visiting of course the Motorworld. We have the assembly plants for Mercedes-Benz over behind in Sindelfingen, where 7 years ago this car was actually put together itself. Now I have done an obscene amount of mileage already in the SLS Black Series. Of all of the Shmeemobiles, since taking delivery of it, finally completed in the Mystic Blue paintwork about 3 months ago, it's the car that I've been driving by far the most. And in fact, when it gets back home at the end of this trip, it will have been 4 months since I collected it, and in that time it will have driven 12,000 kilometers, about 8,000 miles. Now I think most SLS Black Series won't do that much driving in their lifetimes, let alone in a third of a year. I figured today we should have a bit of an update, quite a few things to go over, some things that aren't entirely correct to tell you about, but also something exceedingly cool that I need to show you for the SLS Black Series. This car has already had quite the journey so far, and in fact a lot of it connects to exactly where we are right now at the Motorworld. So I had seen it advertised online earlier in the year, but then worked out that exactly this car was the one I had filmed 6 years prior in 2014 when I had visited a dealership in this local area in Stuttgart, and that day began standing almost exactly here. We were here when I met the owners of the dealership, we went over, we saw this car, and who would have thought that one day it might end up being mine? Well, this place again became relevant because when I had bought the car sight unseen, a friend had gone to check it out for me from Schaltkulisse in Munich. That collection day actually started again here at the Motorworld. In fact, at the V8 Hotel. It's a great place to stay, a very automotive themed location here at the Motorworld, with the G63 along with the trailer from my friend Tony at Turbo Transport, who came with me to bring this back to the UK. It was originally a German car, had 2 owners, it's a left-hand drive of course, but it had a complete annual service history from Mercedes-Benz in Munich. It had done about 10,200 kilometers at the time I collected it. That number is a lot higher now, but it was a very different look. It was Himalaya grey, it had the black wheels with the silver accents, and it didn't have the Renntech upgrades, and I doubt it had done quite as many laps of the Nürburgring or full-speed blasts on the Autobahn as it has done now, but I bought the car intending to use it, which is exactly what I've done. Now when I decided to change the colour, this I think was quite a controversial move. I hope you like the look of it now. I absolutely love it, but at the time a lot of people said, you're going to devalue it, how can you do that? But I bought this to be a long-term Shmeemobile, to be a permanent member of the garage. The SLS Black Series has been one of my dream cars for a long time. I've made it in my specification, as I would have done from new if I could have done. Of course, it was originally on a German registration, so we had to trailer it back to the UK so that we could get it registered in the UK, where it now has the SH62 MEE62 for the 6.2 litre naturally aspirated V8, fitting the theme, staying here at the V8 Hotel of course. Got it registered, went to Chartwell to do the complete strip down and colour transformation, and it has to be said that this is better than original. The finish and overall quality of it all is absolutely spot on, it is perfect. It then went to Topaz of course to get the full paint protection film over the whole of the exterior, and then probably the most controversial thing was to go to Curb Safe to change the wheels to silver, to the satin diamond cut face and the AMG silver paintwork. Very different from the normal look, and I completely agree, less brutal than the normal look as well. But that's what I love about this car. It's elegant in many ways, but it's also a brutal, aggressive, noisy beast, and a fantastic Grand Tourer as well, which is basically what I'm using it for, a very dynamic, daily, long-distance Grand Tourer. It's got a practical luggage space in the boot, it's a comfortable place to be, it's just all-round magnificent. But there is something really, really cool now that I would like to show you. If I can say so myself, this colour for the car is perfect, and it's actually an original Mercedes-Benz paint colour as well, Designo Mystic Blue, which from the factory they painted a single SLS Black Series in this colour, so mine is the second, but they are unique. The other car has black wheels, where mine has the silver wheels and the Renntech upgrades. It's also a colour that I'd previously considered using on some of the other Shmeemobiles, the 675 LT Spider for example, and then again on the G63, but finally went for it on the SLS Black Series, and I think it is totally spot on. When the sun is behind the clouds as you see now, you get this deep navy with some purple hues in it. Then when the sun comes back out, you get the much brighter blue reflections as well. But let me show you then what is particularly interesting inside the boot. And to do so, I currently have the normal Mercedes key. This is something that I say currently about because I'm soon no longer going to be needing this. Let me show you then what has arrived back here here to unbox for you right now this box from Centurion. Of course, we have some luggage. We are currently on a road trip, but I'm going to open up what is inside here, and to do so, we will make use of the secondary function of the rear spoiler. Normally for downforce, sometimes it's a picnic table. In this case, it is for the unboxing of the brand new Senturion Watch. Now, you will remember that I have a Centurion key for my 675 LT Spider. Considering that the SLS Black Series is also a permanent member of the Schmeemobiles, it made sense to add a new Centurion watch that is both a functional watch as well as the key to the car. Let me show you then what we have inside here, completely matched, bespoke to this SLS Black Series, the brand new Centurion watch SWC1. Just have a look at this. We've got a bespoke blue strap, we've got a titanium frame with the carbon fiber casing, we've got the rose gold dials that go with the calipers, we've got the red button, the signature red button, which is to activate the functions unlock, lock, to open the boot, and of course it's keyless, so it can also be used for the starting of the car as well. It's quite simple actually. One press of unlock, the car will unlock as you traditionally expect, and in the case of the SLS, that means the handles pop out. You then would press it twice if you wanted to lock the car, those will pop back in. You could press and hold, that would open up the boot, or just take a seat and use it to start up the car. But the details and the matching is all perfect. The red button, just to unlock and show you inside. The interior of this car has the leather and Dynamica with the red accents, the red stitching, the red seat belts. It all goes together so perfectly. This is the ultimate. So let me actually come round. I think to do so, I should probably close this up. Don't want to leave it on the back of the car when I go and start it. Just locked it very quickly in the back. But let's pop this away so that I can delicately take a seat inside and start this up to demo for you exactly how it works. So one press, unlock it, door pops open this up, and then climb in to bring this car into action, which of course always sounds phenomenal. And now with 18,638 kilometers on the clock. The crazy thing about that is that it had 10,200 when I picked it up. So we are 8,400 kilometers later, and I still have about 3,500 to go on this trip. Now, before I do start it, I've just realized something I should do as a bit of a demonstration for you guys. So I do currently have the key in my pocket, which would be, well, that would be unfair. That would be cheating. So I'm going to put this on the floor over here. Obviously, the car would not be able to start with that left over there, but if we do it with the Centurion watch, you'll see this in action. One press of the button, let's come into life. That's cool, isn't it? That's really cool. And this sounds mega. That is, if you ask me, a beautiful and perfect addition to this car. Obviously, I now need to put it on. I'll have to put the camera down to do that. All done, and look at that. Is this not the coolest thing to go with the SLS Black Series? Now, something else I'd like to talk about as well, the steering wheel. Lots of people have discussed that there is the ability to install a newer Mercedes AMG steering wheel into some of the older models like this one. Now, I do have one on order, and it has arrived, and it should be possible to go and pick it up and get it installed at some point. So stay tuned to see more of that. I've seen a lot of you asking. It is on the way. Obviously, with the situation around the world, things have been delayed a little bit more than expected, but that is going to be coming in the not too distant future. Now, before I forget about it, I probably shouldn't leave my key over there. That wouldn't be ideal, because that is still technically a key for this car. It does work, so I need to grab that. Of course, the Centurion watch can be configured to a whole variety of different cars, from Ferraris, McLarens, Lamborghinis, AMGs, and you can also speak to the team there about other specific vehicles as well. It's obviously a very, very nice piece in its own right. It also just happens to have the functionality to be the key for the car. Like, that's really quite something special. We also need to talk about the ongoing saga of the power losses that this car seems to have suffered and what exactly is going on. So you'll remember, before we took it to Rentec to do the upgrades, we took the car over to the dyno to get a stock readout so we could see how much the performance would improve. Typically, an SLS Black Series should be 631 horsepower and 635 Newton meters, but this car, completely stock for some reason, only came in at 500 579 horsepower and 584 newton meters. So down about 50 horsepower and 50 newton meters, which is not ideal, but also quite a surprise for a car that's only about 6 or 7 years old, and at that point had only done around 6,000 miles, 10,000 kilometers. It wasn't really what you would expect. Since then, we've tried a few things, but haven't yet found the cause. We've got an idea of what it could be to try next. We did the Rentec upgrades though, so the new headers, the ECU, the sports cats, and then took it back to the dyno where the numbers significantly improved, back up to 635 horsepower, and in this case 653 newton meters, so just above where stock should be, but this still means that there are some losses somewhere in the system. We feared it could be to do with the resonator, but the resonator had actually been opened before, only to take out the contents, which is why the car was quite so loud before and why it is ridiculously loud now, especially with the headers and sports cats that have been installed, which make it sound truly epic. There are some other ideas though. Potentially it could be to do with the timing. Mechanically we believe it should be all fine, so open to some ideas really if anybody out there is mechanically minded as to what could be causing a loss in power, because it would be nice to bring back an extra 40-50 horsepower, 40-50 newton meters on top of where it is even now, although the improvements in the mid-range, particularly the torque with the Rentec upgrades, have been incredibly noticeable. From about 3,500 RPM, there's about 120 newton meters more torque, which is massive when you're driving. Just means you've got a lot more pull mid-range without necessarily having to drop down one more gear. And of course, given it's a naturally aspirated 6.2 litre V8, it happens to sound monstrous as well. That's also quite a noisy bike in the background, but we are of course here at the Motorworld. There are some very nice cars around. You'll spot here we've got a 4x4 squared, 812, we've got another G63, usual lines of nice things. And here is my car in the spot where I was parked with my 12C back in 2014, when I then went over and saw this car for the first time. What's going to be next then? Well, the journey continues. Like I said, I expect to do another 3,500 kilometers with the SLS over the next month or so. Fingers crossed, if travel restrictions allow, taking the car over to Munich, down through Switzerland, into Italy, back up to Germany, back to the Nürburgring again. Plenty more things to come. We will have to see what is possible, what is allowable, but obviously the intention with this car is to keep it very long term, and so I'm going to do my best to enjoy it as much as possible. There are, however, two things which aren't right that I need to tell you about. One of those we can see right now. You might have spotted it, and that is down here. Unfortunately, this little plastic piece that sits under the bumper, which I already changed once, I've managed to catch, and you can see it's a bit deformed and cracked, and obviously has broken off. Fortunately, it's not hugely expensive. It's just the piece from here round to there, but I will need to get that replaced again, so I'll get that sorted out, maybe when we do the steering wheel, and tidied up, because I don't like it looking like that. The other problem is significantly more irritating. To demonstrate it, allow me to climb back on board and start the car once more. There we go. When I pop it into reverse, you're going to see the problem. Just going to wait for the system to start up, the command system, and when that has kicked into life and I pop the car into reverse, this is where you should see a reversing camera. For some reason, that has apparently disconnected. Hopefully not too complicated a fix. It might need the bumper to come off. I don't know if there's a defect with the camera or what it might be, but obviously we're on a slightly older car. These things happen. It's been fine up to this point, but we've got no parking sensors, no reversing camera, and that's not an ideal combination in a car that is very expensive in a lovely paint job that we don't want to risk any damage or anything like that. Another thing that's kind of funny, you might notice here, is this is of the generation before cars had integrated Bluetooth devices for the audio. I do actually have a Bluetooth dongle plugged in to the media interface, which you could use an iPod adapter, or I think a variety of other things, but a Bluetooth dongle that comes up like this on the screen, which it does the job, but it is a little bit unusual. Obviously the air conditioning is blowing very strongly at the moment because it's become quite a warm afternoon. Overall though, I really enjoy driving this. It's that slightly older generation where it's not over the top. You have a simple display in front of you, rev counter, speedo, digital speedo in the middle just to help things a little bit, but no flashy displays. It's just about the driving, and it's such a wonderful thing to drive. That's why I spend so many miles at the wheel, so many hours driving this car. There's ample space. We've got some storage compartments all around. The armrest slides back as well. You can fit things behind the seats, and there's the decent boot too. And now it also has the addition of the Senturion watch to operate as the key, which is just lovely. I'll put more information about that down below if you'd like to find out a little bit more. But I think as updates go for the SLS, this car is going brilliantly well. I still truly love it. And obviously now I could, well actually because I'm wearing it, it's a little bit awkward, but I could press that twice, lock the car, walk away from it, and job done. Not obviously parked diagonally like this, just to look nice in the sunshine this afternoon here in the hometown of Mercedes-Benz. It's crazy that this car, once upon a time, was over there, and now, well, now it's traveling all over the place. Obviously not though as intended. You might remember, just occurred to me, that the original plan, when I bought the car in February, started the paint work to be done, which obviously I staggered out considering all of the restrictions at the time and what we could do and what we couldn't do. The plan was for that to be finished, and then in May, the car to get on a plane to America to go for a big tour around the USA, which has rather, of course, been postponed. I don't know if it's going to be possible to do that at some point. At the moment, at the time of recording, I can't actually even travel to America. The restrictions don't allow foreigners to visit. I'm hoping it might be possible, but if it doesn't become possible until next year, well, who knows if it will be this car or another car. All I do know is that it's doing the mileage that I had hoped that it would do there, here in Europe instead. I'm having a lot of fun with the car. I hope you guys are enjoying the videos as well, but that is it for this time. A full update. A big thanks to Centurion. Do check these out. This thing, it's really cool. But that's it for now, guys. I'll see you again very soon. Cheers.